Top 5 quarterback rankings for the 2025 NFL Draft. First overall is Cam Ward. He is the best athlete at quarterback. He has the best arm, the intangibles. He is super athletic. There's no reason why he shouldn't be the #1 quarterback taken, probably the #1 overall pick in this draft. At 2, I have Shedeur Sanders. Now, you would think Deion Sanders' son is elite in his mobility, but Shedeur's not that quarterback. He is more of a traditional pocket passer. He doesn't have an elite arm, but what he has is metal to stand in the pocket and take the hits and deliver the ball, and his accuracy is elite. I think with a significant offensive line, he can absolutely play well and develop at this next level. It is worth considering where he goes. I think the best fit for him is in Vegas with Pete Carroll in that system. They'll help him develop, much like they did with Russ Wilson in Seattle. Number 3, I have Tyler Shough, who is a bit lower on some boards, but he's a 7-year quarterback in college football. Think a Bo Nix type career. And what I see that matters in college football is snaps, repetitions. I don't think any of the rest of these guys here from Shough on down will be starting, even competing for a starting job day one, but they could at some point develop into a starter. He's played in a pro-style offense to go in and get some reps down the road. Think someone more like Kirk Cousins. At 4, Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart, to me, is very much in the mold of Jared Goff. I'm not saying he will be Jared Goff, but think in the mindset that if he has a clean pocket, he can tear you up. If things start to move around a little bit, he can seem very shaky. Think maybe even like Dak Prescott, because Dart has a lot of mobility to his game. He can get out and move, similar to young Dak Prescott in that manner. And number 5, I have Kyle McCord out of Syracuse, another quarterback who absolutely will play higher than his draft slot. I would take him in the 4th or 5th round, betting that he could develop down the road. He has a lot of guts, a lot of moxie to stand in there. He has exceptional arm talent, and that there is my top 5 quarterbacks for the NFL Draft. 5 receivers for the 2025 NFL Draft. At number 1, this might seem controversial, it's Travis Hunter. I truly believe that his best position at the NFL level is wide receiver. He has this OBJ level of electricity. When he gets the ball in his hands, he can go over the top, he can catch a slant and go. He really does need to have the ball in his hands more than anything else. I would take him as a receiver, and the number 1 receiver on my board, I'll talk about him as a DB in another video. And number 2, I have Ted McMillan, who portrays himself as Mike Evans. He's big, he's physical, and he can come in and really elevate your team. If Dallas can get him at 12, pair him with CeeDee Lamb, it feels like Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne. I'm not saying that he'll be Hall of Fame level, but think of one faster slot receiver at CD. Ted goes to the outside. He can play big ball over the top. He's an elite threat. He beat players like Travis Hunter on the outside. I would take him quickly if he's available, especially the Carolina Panthers could use a #1 receiver like him. At 3, Luther Burden feels like Steve Smith Sr. reincarnate. They're physical, they might be a little undersized, but man, they get the ball in their hands and they can just run. He will excel in yards after catch. He's a punt returner. He's excellent. He brings a nastiness to his game, which you like to have on your roster. At 4, Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State. He was never the #1 receiver on his team in college because there were other, perhaps more pronounced receivers there with him, but he is consistent. And he is probably the best technician as a wide receiver with his route running. And I think that at the NFL level, that immediately gets you catches. If he falls to the Washington Commanders and they pair him with Scary Terry McLaurin to give Jaden Daniels elite weapons, they will flourish. Number 5 is Trey Harris, the more traditional X receiver on the outside. He's 6'3". He's got more like a first and third zone type player, first and third gear. Get him the ball quick and let him move, because he's physical, or a third tier where, listen, you're going to throw it over the top, you're going to get him the ball, and he's going to make plays for you in that George Pickens type role. Think George Pickens without the attitude problems. And those are my rankings for the top 5 receivers in the draft. 25 draft rankings for defensive backs. My first defensive back ranked is Will Johnson, who I think is an excellent press corner. He's big, he's physical, he's everything the modern NFL needs to be able to press and run. He's incredibly fluid in his transitions. Love him as the top cornerback taken in this draft. The top DB taken, I could see him going top 10. Second, I have Xavier Watts. I'm definitely higher on him than most people. He is a safety who was originally a wide receiver. He plays like it. He can come down the nickel and mirror on the inside. He plays with the knowledge of offense. He knows how things are supposed to be set up. He can tackle, he can scheme, he can cover, he can do it all. And he's still young in the position, which means with a good position coach, he will excel. He'll be better in the pros 3-4 years down the road, and he could be the steal of the draft, in my opinion. Third, I have Travis Hunter. People think I'm crazy, but I don't like Travis Hunter at the cornerback position as much as I do at wide receiver. I think he's a much better zone corner than he is man-to-man. I saw him get beat a lot in man-to-man coverage last year, and I would not put him in a man coverage scheme. That being said, in zone coverage, he has incredible ball skills. He knows the boundaries. He knows how to play the position in zone well, and so well I have him number 3 on my board. Cornerbacks. Number 4 is Jahdae Barron, who again is another physical cornerback. He can get you in the slot. He can take care of things. He plays well in big games. You look at him against Georgia and other teams with excellent players. He is a lockdown cornerback. And 5th, I have Shavon Ravel Jr., who got injured in September, but we were talking about potentially a top 15 pick. He hurt his knee. Doctors say he should be okay, and with him, you're really betting on upside. He played at East Carolina, not exactly the best competition every week, but he's marked anywhere from 6'1" to 6'3", and we'll be interested to see exactly how tall he is, but he's a big physical corner who runs a 4.4, who has all the tangibles that you want. Can you teach him the skill? And what he was showing us already is that he has that skill. Someone's going to bet on him. I could see him going late in the first round, if not high second round. And that's your top 5 DBs of this draft. Thanks for the 2025 defensive linemen and edge rushers. At number 1 is obvious Abdul Carter Jr. He is going to be a top 5 pass rusher in the NFL at some point. What he did collegiately this year with a bad shoulder is super impressive. People call him a poor man's Micah Parsons. I think he's more in line with Max Crosby. I think he's one of those guys who can, at a floor, in his prime, give you 12 or 13 sacks, and perhaps go higher than that. There's no reason why he shouldn't be one of the top 3 picks at worst in this draft. Second, Mason Graham, a D tackle who does everything well. He can rush the passer and collapse the pocket. He can 1-gap or 2-gap scheme at D tackle against the run. He does everything well. If you're looking at the Jacksonville Jaguars, who had an absolutely horrendous defense, he should be taken off the board right there. Mason Graham has all pro potential at the D tackle position. Number 3 is Jalen Walker. There's some talk of whether he's a linebacker or an edge. I think he's more of an edge at the next level, and I think his raw physical ability is just impeccable. His speed to close so fast reminds me of Micah Parsons, and that if the quarterback starts to move around or he has a shot to get to him, Jalen Walker will get there. At 4, we have James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee. He is another man who was probably built in a lab to get after the quarterback. With him, I do have reports of some locker room issues, some red flags, which you would be concerned with at the next level. But if you're talking about a man who is violent in his ability to get after the quarterback, progress in his moves, his pass rush ability, this is a guy I would definitely take. And number 5, I have Mike Green, who led NCAA football in sacks this year. All he does is sack the quarterback. We went to high school with a kid who said, I kicked the ball more far, and that's all they called him, more far. Mike Green is just sack the QB. That's what he does. That's all he does, and he does it very well. He's a speed rusher. He probably run like 4.5. He can get around the edge very quickly, and as he continues to build his array of techniques, he will be a double-digit sack guy in the NFL.